I was only a couple of steps from my front door when I heard that voice. Sharp-edged, dripping with entitlement, and delivered with the kind of fake authority that instantly makes your stomach tighten. "Excuse me. This is a private community. Who are you, and why are you here?" I turned slowly, already knowing exactly what kind of storm was waiting for me. There she was, mid-50s, icy blonde bob, oversized sunglasses that practically shouted "I file complaints recreationally," and a clipboard gripped like a badge of honor. "Karen," kept my tone even. "Karen, I live here. I moved in last week." Of course, that wasn't nearly enough for her. "Don't lie to me," she snapped. "I know everyone in this neighborhood. You're not one of them. Show me your ID." I blinked at her. "I'm sorry, and you are." She jabbed a finger at the flimsy HOA badge dangling from her neck, as if she were flashing federal credentials. "I'm the HOA vice president. I have full authority to verify any suspicious person in this community." I hesitated. I hadn't planned on revealing who I really was this early, but she was pushing so hard it almost felt intentional. Still, I didn't feel like flexing yet, so I quietly handed her my driver's license. Karen snatched it from my hand like I owed her money, scrutinizing it with the intensity of a TSA agent catching someone with a forged passport. Then her lips curled. "This doesn't prove residency," she said smugly. "Anybody can print this. You're trespassing. I'll be reporting you to the board immediately." I tilted my head. "Interesting. Considering I am on the board." She barked out a laugh, loud and dismissive. "Oh, please. The whole board doesn't just let random people walk in and take over." I gave her a tight smile. "You're right. But I'm not just on the board. I audit HOA boards for the state. I run the oversight and compliance division that licenses your HOA." That wiped the confidence right off her face. "You're lying," she whispered. "Am I?" I reached into my backpack and pulled out the thick black folder been carrying embossed with the state seal and the bold, unmistakable title. "Official HOA Compliance Review." Marigold Estates. Your smug attitude vanished instantly. She staggered back a little. I didn't know." "No," I said. "You didn't want to know. You saw someone new, and you went straight to accusations. Unfortunately for you, Karen, this neighborhood is about to experience a very different type of oversight." She scrambled for footing. Wait, I was just doing my job." I raised a hand to stop her. "You'll have an opportunity to explain yourself in my report." And just like that, I walked past her, leaving her frozen on the sidewalk, still holding my ID in her trembling hand. The next morning, I didn't simply walk into the HOA clubhouse. I arrived with purpose. Karen might have been rattled yesterday, but I wasn't naive. People like her don't back down, they regroup. And now, I had an official appointment scheduled. Through my office with the Marigold Estates HOA board under the guise of a routine compliance inspection. What they didn't realize was that their community had already been flagged 6 separate times for financial inconsistencies, falsified meeting reports, and several discrimination claims. All sealed, all ignored. Until now, Karen wasn't inside when I entered the clubhouse, but 3 of her loyal supporters were. The president, Dale, a sunburned man with a discount golf tan and an even cheaper sense of authority, forced a smile when he saw me. "We weren't expecting such thoroughness," he said, eyeing the full-sized briefcase I placed on the table. "I prefer precision," I replied, opening the case and spreading out documents like playing cards in a game they were guaranteed to lose. I requested access to the financial statements, surveillance logs, resident complaints, and specifically, the records of all board votes over the past 12 months. Dale stalled. So did the treasurer, Beverly, hands shaking slightly as she clung to her purse. "Like I planned to audit that too." Karen entered halfway through, lips pressed into a thin line, eyes flicking nervously around the room. "Didn't realize this was going to turn into a whole production," she said coolly. I didn't bother hiding the edge in my voice. "You didn't realize a lot of things." As I flipped through their binders, 2 glaring issues jumped out immediately. First, the expense logs included thousands of dollars of vague charges entries labeled beautification, with 0 contracts or invoices. Second, several board votes had been recorded without any actual meetings, just signatures. Lots of them. And they didn't match. Looks like at least 6 votes were falsified, I announced. And these expenses, who approved them? Dale cleared his throat. They were for community improvements. Funny, I said. I don't see improvements, but I do see invoices from a landscaping company owned by your son. Karen stepped forward quickly, voice rising. You're twisting this. No, I said. I'm documenting it. They already realized they were cornered. But what they didn't know was that I wasn't there just to take notes. I had the legal authority to dismantle their entire board, and if Karen thought she could bully her way out of this, she clearly hadn't read the section of the manual where I remove people exactly like her. She reached for my folder like she still had authority over the situation. I closed it before her fingers could touch it. You'll read this when I'm finished, I said. Not a moment sooner. By Friday, the entire neighborhood knew something was brewing. I hadn't even issued an official statement yet, but rumors spread like wildfire, especially after Karen mysteriously stopped walking her dog and Dale abruptly canceled the monthly HOA barbecue due to unforeseen administrative activity. Translation. They were spiraling. I completed my audit summary that morning and sent formal notices to all 123 homeowners in Marigold Estates. That afternoon, we convened a mandatory emergency HOA meeting in the clubhouse, something not even Karen had the power to block. State law required it when auditors reported a compliance breach. The clubhouse was overflowing. Folding chairs scraped across the floors as residents squeezed in shoulder to shoulder. Others leaned against the walls, murmuring as they scrolled through the digital packets I'd emailed out earlier. Every single household had received a detailed review of the financial misconduct, procedural violations, and documented abuses of authority, each page signed and certified by me. Karen hovered at the back of the room, rigid as a statue. Dale sat at the head table, shoulders tight, looking like a man awaiting sentencing. I stepped up to the podium. Good afternoon, everyone. Most of you don't know me personally, but after this week, I know quite a lot about this community. I'm with the State HOA Oversight and Compliance Division, and unfortunately, Marigold Estates has failed nearly every major section of our governance standards. A wave of gasps rippled through the crowd. Some turned immediately toward Dale, others toward Karen. A woman in the third row lifted her hand. So, they've been lying to us? I nodded. Your dues were mismanaged. Several board votes were falsified. Complaints including multiple allegations of profiling and harassment were intentionally suppressed. I glanced toward Karen. Vice President Karen here claimed I didn't belong in this neighborhood, that I seemed suspicious. What she didn't know was that I belonged here far more than she did. She doesn't own a home in Marigold Estates. She's been living in her sister's guest house illegally. The murmurs erupted into shouts. Karen's face went pale. That's not true, she yelled. I was only doing what I thought was right. You don't invent your own authority, I said firmly. You follow the bylaws. You uphold the charter. And you treat residents with fairness and respect. That's the job of HOA leadership. I placed the final notice on the podium. Effective immediately. The Marigold Estates HOA board is dissolved. A temporary trustee board will take over until new elections can be held, supervised directly by my office. Dale slammed his palm on the table. You can't do this. I already have. And just like that, their miniature empire built on intimidation, favoritism, and unchecked power collapsed in front of the very people they'd been controlling. The aftermath, the shockwaves from the meeting tore through the community like a quake. The next morning, as I walked the cul-de-sac, moving trucks idled outside 2 former board members' homes. Dale had vanished before dawn. Neighbors claimed they saw him sneaking out with boxes labeled documents. Karen stayed. But she wasn't the Karen from before. The clipboard was gone. The oversized sunglasses were gone. She moved through the neighborhood like a ghost, drifting through the ruins of a life she'd built on authority she never truly had, avoiding eye contact, dodging questions, offering nothing. Later that afternoon, while I sat in my car finishing paperwork, someone tapped on my window. I looked up. Karen stood there, awkward and hesitant, holding a mug of coffee with trembling hands. I rolled the window down. Yes, she shifted uneasily. I wanted to talk. I stayed silent. She took that as permission to continue. I didn't know who you were, she said softly. I thought you were just another. She cut herself off before finishing the thought. I've lived here 10 years. This place. It's all I have. I really thought I was protecting it. You weren't protecting anything, I told her. You were controlling it. She winced. I never meant for things to get so out of hand. But they did get out of hand, I said. You accused residents without cause. You manipulated voting procedures. You were part of misusing community funds. You enforced rules selectively punishing those you disliked while excusing your friends. She looked down. I know. A long, heavy silence settled between us. I'm not here to humiliate you, said finally. But what happened will be in the public report. You will most likely be barred from serving on any HOA board for at least 10 years. Maybe longer. Her eyes filled within seconds. Please, is there anything I can do? I paused. Own it. Apologize. Not to meet everyone else. Show up at the next community meeting and tell the truth. If you do that, people might forgive you. If you don't, you'll be remembered as the symbol of everything that went wrong here. She nodded slowly, then turned and walked away. That night, the community held a block party. For the first time in years, Karen hadn't organized it. There were no unnecessary permit demands, no judgmental looks, no passive-aggressive flyers about grilling too close to the curb. People danced. Kids sped by on scooters. Neighbors I'd never even spoken to came over just to say thank you, all under the glow of string lights stretched across the street. I thought back to the day Karen tried to confiscate my id, so convinced I didn't belong. Now, the entire neighborhood knew exactly who I was, and exactly what I stood for. And Karen? She remained on her porch, silent at last, watching a community finally freed from her grip. Karen believed she ran the neighborhood until the real boss exposed her in front of everyone. Got an HOA nightmare story of your own? Drop it in the comments. If watching her downfall was satisfying, hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe, because we're nowhere near done taking down Karens in their place.